Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever wondered why no one used the time turner to save Dumbledore? What if there was a way to prevent his death, but no one even tried? In today's video, you'll find out the real reason why the time turner couldn't bring Dumbledore back. When I first watched Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, one question kept nagging at me. Was there really no way to save Dumbledore? My friends and I left the theatre discussing every possible solution. And soon we had an idea. Why didn't Harry use the time turner? He had used it before, he knew how it worked, and Dumbledore meant so much to him. Wouldn't he at least try? But he didn't. Why? The time turner is a small hourglass on a chain that allows the user to travel back in time. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione used it to attend multiple classes at once. Professor McGonagall gave it to her as a special privilege. Later, she revealed its secret to Harry and Ron, and together they used it to save Buckbeak and Sirius Black. So why wasn't it even considered in The Half-Blood Prince when Snape killed Dumbledore? Harry was devastated. Dumbledore was more than just a headmaster to him. I couldn't stop thinking about this. After digging into the books and discussing with fellow fans, I found several possible answers. First, Dumbledore was already dying. He had destroyed one of Voldemort's Horcruxes and was cursed beyond healing. Maybe Harry understood that saving him would only delay the inevitable. Second, time travel in the wizarding world is dangerous. One of its biggest rules is that you can't interfere with your own past. Meeting yourself or changing major events could have catastrophic consequences. Perhaps Harry simply didn't know how to alter the timeline without making things worse. But even with these reasons, something still didn't add up. Then I found the real answer. In the Order of the Phoenix, during the battle at the Ministry of Magic, all the time turners in the Department of Mysteries were destroyed. That scene never made it into the movies, leaving many viewers unaware that time travel was no longer an option. So, in the end, it wasn't a plot hole, it was just a missing detail from the films. But let's think about it. What if the time turners had never been destroyed? Could Harry have found a way to change the past and save Dumbledore? Would it have worked, or would it have led to something even worse? In theory, if Harry had access to a time turner, he could have gone back just before the moment of Dumbledore's death. But then what? If he interfered, what would stop Voldemort from simply finding another way to eliminate him? Dumbledore himself knew that certain events were meant to happen. He planned his own death, knowing it was necessary to protect Draco, deceive Voldemort, and ensure that Snape could continue his role as a double agent. If Harry had disrupted that plan, the entire chain of events leading to Voldemort's downfall might have crumbled. Let's say Harry ignored all of that and went back anyway. He arrives just in time to stop Snape, but Snape was acting on Dumbledore's orders. If he hesitated or refused to kill him, the Death Eaters would have seen through the plan. Voldemort would have killed Snape himself, and Harry might have been caught in the chaos. Without Snape's continued deception, Voldemort would have never trusted him. That means Harry might never have learned about the Elder Wand, never discovered the truth about the Deathly Hallows, had never understood his own connection to Voldemort's soul. And what if the paradox theory applied? When Hermione and Harry used the time turner in The Prisoner of Azkaban, they didn't actually change anything. They only fulfilled what had already happened. If Harry had tried to prevent Dumbledore's death, he would have likely found that he was unable to interfere. Maybe he would have been stopped by some unseen force, or perhaps he would have only managed to observe, realizing that the past was set in stone. There's also the fact that not all time turners work the same way. The one Hermione used only allowed them to go back a few hours. Even if a time turner that could travel further back existed, who had access to it? Dumbledore? The Ministry? Could Harry have even found one in time? But let's imagine for a moment that Harry did succeed. Dumbledore survived. What then? Voldemort would still be alive and the war would rage on. Would Dumbledore have been able to keep fighting? He was already weakened by the curse from the ring Horcrux. Even if he lived a little longer, he would have struggled to continue leading the fight. Maybe he would have been forced to step down anyway, leaving Harry to take on the burden alone. And then there's the question of fate. Throughout the series, we see time and time again that magic has limits. The Resurrection Stone doesn't truly bring people back. The Deathly Hallows themselves seem to play into destiny rather than bending it to one's will. Perhaps, even with all the magic in the world, Dumbledore was meant to die that night. Maybe it was the only way everything could unfold as it did. Still, it's hard not to wonder. What if things had gone differently? What if Dumbledore had lived to see Voldemort's defeat? Would he have guided Harry through the final battle? Would he have revealed more secrets, more truths that we never got to hear? And what about Snape? If Dumbledore had survived, would Snape have ever been able to prove his loyalty? His story is one of the most tragic in the series, a man who sacrificed everything, including his own reputation, to protect the son of the woman he loved. But if Dumbledore had lived, Snape's role would have been different. Maybe he wouldn't have had to die. Maybe he wouldn't have had to carry that secret pain. Or maybe he would have remained an outcast, never given the chance to redeem himself in Harry's eyes. It's strange how one event, one choice, could change everything. Even if Harry had found a way to save Dumbledore, there's no guarantee the world would have been better for it. Maybe Voldemort would have caught on to Harry's interference and struck back harder. Maybe something even worse would have happened, something we can't even predict. That's the thing about time travel. It's tempting to think about rewriting history, about undoing our greatest losses. But in the world of Harry Potter, magic has rules. And even if we had a time turner, some things were just meant to be. Still, I can't help but wonder, what would you have done in Harry's place? If you had a chance to change the past, would you risk it? Or would you accept that some fates, no matter how painful, cannot be undone?